This is Dr. Vaishali, and I'm reading from the book Substance of Homeopathy, book written by Dr. Rajan Sankaran. Chapter number 36, The Salt, and today's salt is Kali bichromicum. Kali bichromicum combines the quality of Kali and chromium. Chromium is a metal with the atomic number of 24 and is placed before the manganum in the periodic table. The number 1. In the first stage, the main feeling of being hurt, injured by their family. Second stage, I have not seen this stage but would expect them to be strong people who can bear all the family problem, especially those caused by their own family. In number 3 stage, the main impression I get from these patients is that they are extremely reserved, taciturn, keeping all their feelings to themselves. They avoid society and are hard, inexpressive. On probing with the leading questions, one gets the idea that they have been hurt quite badly by someone in their family and bear it within. Not showing any reaction inside, they feel very sad, and after the annoyance, which is strange reaction since the annoyance is usually of the sort that should cause severe anger, it seems that due to the metallic quality of chromium, they have the ability to bear the hurt caused by their family or the loved one. I have also seen the opposite in some Kali bichromicum patient. They can be very uh, extremely timid with great fear of being hurt, tremendous anxiety and lack of confidence, tremendous fear in a crowd, and they are very bashful. And in a fourth stage, they are discouraged, do not recognize their relatives, aversion to business. And physical symptoms are spotty, wandering pain, pain in the head which increase and decrease with the sun, sinusitis on stooping. They feel whole load coming onto the frontum. Pain increase and decrease gradually. Discharge very thick and stringy. Chilly patients but itching draft of air. Chilly patient but itching from the draft of air. Sorry. Case 1 of Kali bichromicum. A man age of 35 years came with a complaint of spotty, wandering pain in the chest. He was working abroad and sending money home. He had worked very hard to support his family, and the first time he came home, he found that his mother had wasted all the money. He bore this silently and went back abroad to earn more money. When he come back again, he found that his wife had frittered away all the money, and this way, this was when he was developed the complaint, and he was very taciturn. And I obtained even this scanty detail through a friends of his. Near one, and I asked him to describe the feeling he experienced when he came to know about what they had done to them. And his reply was he was very sad, and he got Kali bichromicum, with which he soon improved. And now second case, a medical practitioner age of 41 year came with the complaint of recurrent headache since 14 year with a bursting sensation at the left temporal associated with the blockage of the left nostril. The headache would begin at the 4 a.m. and keep increasing during the day, aggravated by the exposure to sun, fasting and loss of sleep. And since 7 years, and he had developed what he called a fear complex. There was a tremendous insecurity and the lack of confidence with irritability, impatience, and weak memory. He was very chilly, though aggravated by the sun. Asked what he was anxious about, he said about the future family financial problem, and he would not take any risk, especially in the profession. If difficult case came to him, he would immediately refer the patient to some hospital and doctors, etc. Very afraid of medical legal problem. Avoid any situation where there could remotely arise, and if there is any quarrel near his clinic, he would get very upset and tense. He described himself as quiet and shy. Worried about his 7-year-old son, he was hurried and irritable. I treated him from the 1985 till 1992, during which time, Kali Bikram was given in the 200 potency and gradually raised to the CM potency. His headache were the first to disappear, followed by his nervousness and anxiety. Finally, he brought out an eczema on both his feet, which also responded well by the Kali Bikram. He has remained well since long. Now, next salt is causticum. Causticum is a Kali salt, the preparation of Kali. It consequently has the Kalium feature of the dependence on the family and group. There is a need in the causticum to have an intimate, unbreakable bond with the group, unity and solidarity. This need arises from the two subconscious feeling, like a feeling of danger from outside. So the rubric is fear happen something will, fear of impending danger, etc. And second, that his survival depend upon the group. So the rubric is fear of belonging fear of being alone at night. Thus, the main feeling of causticum is that there is a danger from outside to the group on which his survival depends. Therefore, the causticum person see a threat to any member of the group as a threat to the group itself and hence to his own survival. This, however, is a subconscious feeling. Consciously, what he feels is anxiety for others, especially those belonging to that group. Anxiety for others, weeps with sympathy for others. He takes great care to see that nothing happened to anyone in the group. Cares full of day and night, cautious and anxiously cautious. At this juncture, we may differentiate the causticum from the phosphorus. I find that the principal difference is this: causticum feels anxious for others, while phosphorus feels the anxiety of others. Thus, the phosphorus mothers will suffer in sympathy when her child is not well, or injured, or unhappy, etc. But if the child is happy and enjoying himself, the phosphorus person is not concerned or disturbed any longer. While the causticum mother, on the other hand, is all the time anxious for her child, feels that something might happen, that he may get injury himself, or thus, if a member of the family is little late returning the home, for example from a party, the phosphorus person would assume that he or she is enjoying himself and not worrying about it. In the same situation, the causticum person would become extremely anxious, expecting the worst, like maybe accident or death, and often cannot rest in one place till he or she is come back to home. Anxious foreboding at twilight. This is rubric. So, markedly characteristic is this feature that I often confirm my prescriptions of causticum by asking the patient how he reacts when any family member returns home late, especially in the evening. I find that those patients who need causticum can hardly sleep till the last person in the family is back home. They assume responsibility for the weaker member of the family and is a broader sense of society. The weakest link in the chain must be strengthened. In a way, this is like a union worker leader, like that type of mentality. I am one of thousands worker in our solidarity unity or our group lies my security. And if any of men is fired without reason, and this goes without comment, then everyone is in a danger, including me. That she feels subconsciously. I have found that in the clinic, the causticum person often describes the follow-up of other patients before he speaks about himself, even if he begins with his own complaint. They are very bothering about their relatives and friends and may not give him own complaint as much as important. They are very sympathetic with the physicians. I have often been advised to take more care of myself as I look so tired. The causticum person is very sensitive to any threat to the security of this group and will fight strongly for it. Offended easily, quarrelsome, malicious, and heedless. He can get quite bold and hard externally, though internally he is anxious, nervous, and soft. The constant anxiety about his group makes the causticum person work a lot for others. They need power, control, and mobility in order to lead their group and keep it unified. They lose all this muscular weakness, gradually developing paralysis, very characteristic stiffness with or without pathologies like rheumatoid and osteoarthritis, etc. The loss of control over muscles is quite like a staphysagria, causticum, colocynth, and the staphysagria are said to follow each other very well. They are similar in some aspect. For example, both causticum and colocynth are greatly affected by the misfortune of others. However, causticum has a lot to do with the group and family, while colocynth with his injustice and staphysagria with honor. Not so much with an injustice, but honor. Now, case of one of I was called to see Mrs. LF, age of 60-year-old lady, who was bedridden from the crippling rheumatoid arthritis, affecting nearly all the joint. She was on several painkiller and other allopathic medicine. I obtained the following history. She was always very nervous and tense. The mere ringing of the telephone or the barking of a dog would frighten her intensely. On inquiring further, I understood that the situation in her family was quite tense. Her husband and son, aged 30 years and living with them, the son's age is 30 years, would argue incessantly and often very loudly. The father was trying to impose his will on the son. He expected his son to return home by certain time, etc., which the son resented, and as he was no longer a child, there were a major fight every day, and this day a strong impact on the lady, leaving her tense and worried. At a point, she started reacting. She became quite stern, even dictatorial, and told her husband to stop interfering with the son. This was the time around which she developed the joint complaint, which progressed quite rapidly and left her stiff and immobile. I could perceive that, beside the fear that the family would break up, she had an inexplicable, intense, and constant fear that something would happen. And this was seen in her reaction to the telephonic ring and barking of the dog, starting easily, and was, as I said, inexplicable since it had nothing to do with the family situation, and then the stern attitude and assumed to preserve the solidarity of the family, and also the stiffness and immobility that had developed led me to causticum. There was a quick and dramatic change in her after receiving the remedy. She was on her feet again in a week and walking to church to offer her thank to God. The two most important feeling of causticum is anxious for others. In the case of her son, you see this, and the fear that something may happen are clearly in evidence in this case. And interestingly, causticum is one of the few remedies listed under the fear of dogs.